Yo, yo.
Good morning, everybody. This is Joey J. Ping here from Respect My Region. I have my special guest and co-host and executive producer, Hannah Gershowitz, in the building today, coming in live from Georgia.
Hello, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today is episode 7 of the Morning Joint podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the Emerging Market Report. We're going to be talking about some updated legislation and bills coming out of California, Maryland, and then we also have some exciting news coming out of Wiz Khalifa's camp and Trulieve, boo. And it's exciting, though, because there's a lot of good news in the world today, a lot of sad things going on, but we got to keep on pushing. We got to keep making stuff happen. So, Hannah, without further ado, the first topics of the day. I'm in yellow, right? I'm the yellow ones.
Yes, you're the yellow.
Just because I smoke. So I'm going to run through the brief topics of what I'm going to cover today, and then Hannah is going to cover the rest. So for me, cannabis-wise, Maryland House approves recreational marijuana legislation. There's a California bill that would protect cannabis users from employment discrimination. That's exciting. There's another California bill that would eliminate cannabis cultivation tax and raise retail tax. Good. Charge to dispose more. What inflation? Cannabis actually costs less these days. I've got an update for you guys about Spannabis 2022. Spannabis is Spain times the word cannabis. It's exciting. Saturday, I did go to an NFT convention or conference / event. It was small. It was private. There was NFTs in real life. It was crazy. Music-wise, we are rumored to see the XXL Freshman 22 list soon. And then Coachella drops all COVID-19 related restrictions and vax requirements, which is also less surprising than some might assume because Coachella out there in the Coachella Valley, it's out there in the desert. Did COVID even exist if it wasn't in a major city? Who knows? Who knows? I'm just kidding.
It did. I wasn't in a major city. It definitely existed.
It definitely still existed outside of major.
I don't know about in the desert though.
Yeah, I mean, there's not that lot. I mean, it lived on metal, lived on people. Animals got COVID. We figured that out. They could get COVID. It was a really interesting time. But I got to dive into these topics. Or Hannah, do you want to read through yours? Do we want to switch it up today? I don't know. I just took a dab.
I'll throw out what I'm talking about. So like Joey already said, we got Khalifa Kush. Some updates about that. Some updates about the New Jersey marijuana market, as well as the Georgia medical marijuana program. Got some news about Arizona's first year of legal cannabis. And then I'm going to put you guys on some underrated female rappers. And then I'm going to go over Okeechobee Music Festival that's coming up this
Say
coming
that 3
weekend.
times fast.
Okeechobee Music Festival. I know Okeechobee.
Okeechobee.
And then we also got some tour announcements from some big DJs.
There we go. Some tour announcements. So I guess, honestly, like I do kind of want to switch this episode up, and I'm sorry for freestyling on you here a little bit, but I would love if you could tell me a little bit about the Khalifa Kush and Trulieve stuff just before we get started, because it's the main topic on the title thing up here. And I just reviewed the Khalifa Kush here in California.
Word, yeah. I would love to discuss that.
I'm trying to learn a little bit about that real quick.
I just put this article together a few days ago. So for anyone that doesn't know, I'm from Florida, so I'm pretty familiar with the Florida medical market down there and the quality of the flower and the products and all of that. And, Florida is a very humid state. It's, it's not like the climate up in like Northern California or the Pacific Northwest or anything. Like weed doesn't grow as well down there as it does in other places. So we have a lot of issues with like mold and bud rot and just dry weed. A lot of the times that you buy weed, it's like, it's been sitting on the shelf for months. So it gets a little dry, kind of not the best quality. So that's why when we see Khalifa Kush coming to Florida, we're asking the question, is the quality going to be the same as it is in California? Because Florida is a vertically integrated market. So Trulieve has to grow the Khalifa Kush in the state. Trulieve has to grow it. So, I mean, in my opinion, from weed that I've tried around the state, Trulieve definitely does have some of the better flower compared to other smaller dispensaries, but I think that's more due to the fact that they're such a big company and they do have like the largest market share. So they have the resources to create that high quality weed. But that's still to say that Trulieve has had plenty of problems with their weed between bud rot and mold and all of that, just like really any dispensary down there. So I think that, you know, if anyone's going to do Khalifa Kush right, I think Trulieve isn't the worst hands to put it in. But it's still kind of questionable the quality we're going to see because I've tried some of the specialty strains and genetics down in Florida from Trulieve and other dispensaries that just weren't great. And I'm like, I paid $50 for this. So that's kind of
Damn.
my take on it. So we'll see. Once it's available, I'll definitely try it out down there and do a review for you guys.
Review coming soon on the KK from FLA. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be an
Yeah.
interesting time. You guys can go check out the full review from Cookies Maywood here in California over on our YouTube. Recently reviewed that. I gave it a 9.3 on the taste. I believe I might have given it a 94 overall. Musky, dark, a little bit of citrus. It had all the different things that an OG should have. But when you spend in give KK to Cookies Florida.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, it was definitely a surprise, right? That Wiz of all people decided to partner with Trulieve and not Cookies for these specific cuts. Even here in California, where Trulieve has no presence, or I think they've bought dispensaries here, but they don't have branded presence here. Wiz and his team went with FloraCal Farms, which is under the Curaleaf MSO house of brands. And I mean, it was good, but like what you were saying, $50 plus tax or 60 because Cali's market is more like $60 plus tax, $70 plus tax. If it wasn't available for sale at $50, like out the door at Cookies Maywood, because that's like their business model out there, being that that's the area and stuff, like I definitely wouldn't feel that it was worth it, to be honest. But like, I guess that kind of holds true with me, in my opinion, of most of FloraCal stuff. Like, is it worth 50 to 65, $70 with tax included if you're in West Hollywood or if you're in Santa Monica or if you're in the Valley, Sherman Oaks or something? No. If you can catch that for a $50 eighth or 45, yeah. But really interesting, really interesting. All right, so biggest news in our opinion coming out of the country right now is Khalifa Kush and Trulieve. I still can't believe it. Why Trulieve? Why not?
Yeah, I mean, they don't have the best reputation right now with the CEO's husband going to jail and all, but, you know, we'll see how it is.
To each their own. All right, Hannah, you know what? How about this? How about this? Why don't you go first today? Let's talk through the morning joint
Okay.
stuff, and then I'll roll this joint up, and I'll come back in, and I'll take us home. How about that?
Okay, sounds good.
Right, True Leaf Grossman. Shout out to Serial. All right, here we go. Everybody, enjoy the next 15 minutes, courtesy of Hannah Gershowitz, head editor and executive producer of the Morning Joint podcast. Here we go. Run it.
Okay, hello everybody. I just gave a little rundown of the topic, so I'm just going to jump right into it. You know, we already got the Khalifa Kush on the books, so you guys know about that news. So next we have the New Jersey governor says adult use marijuana sales will start within weeks. So this is news coming from Marijuana Moment. If you want to read up more on it. So if you guys didn't already know, New Jersey has already legalized recreational marijuana, but just like New York, it's legalized there, but the sale of marijuana isn't legal and allowed quite yet. So, you know, a lot of people are keeping an eye on what's happening up in that, you know, the Northeast between New Jersey and New York. But it looks like the governor of New Jersey says recreational marijuana sales will start within weeks, with certain existing medical cannabis dispensaries set to be licensed for adult use commerce. He also reiterated that he's open-minded to allowing a home grow option for consumers in the future. Um, so yeah, if you're up in New Jersey, keep an eye out for that recreational marijuana. Not sure when, um, you know, specific recreational dispensaries will be open or if it's just going to be like medical, um, or what's the deal on that. But if you'd like to read up more, head over to Marijuana Moment. Next up, we got more on the emerging market. Georgia, which is where I'm currently located over in Savannah, Georgia. So Georgia is an interesting state when it comes to legal marijuana because it's like the deep South, but then you have Atlanta and then you have cities like Savannah that are like more on the liberal side, more on the progressive side. So it's definitely been a battle with the legalization of marijuana in Georgia. But medical marijuana has been legal here for a few years now, but there's no program in place. So that means that patients, you can apply for a card and an ID, but even if you're a patient, you can't buy your products anywhere. Hey, Keto from Florida, where are you located in Florida? But anyways, yeah, patients in Georgia can't even buy medicine, so it kinda makes no sense. So, it looks like they're finally expanding the medical, Georgia program and ending the delays. So, I mean, it's been delayed for years now, or let's see, 7 years now. So Georgia legislators are trying to jumpstart the state's stalled medical marijuana program, which is mired in prolonged disputes among companies competing for licenses to manufacture and sell the drug to patients. A bill considered in committee Wednesday would attempt to break the stalemate by opening up the medical marijuana market, increasing the number of state licenses from 6 to 22. So it seems like the holdup had to do with the amount of licenses that like 6 wasn't enough, and they're kind of still discussing that. But yeah, it's been on the hold for 7 years now. Um, but it looks like there's some movement going on, and hopefully we'll see that medical marijuana program in Georgia soon. That's really excited because I just moved to Georgia recently, and I'm from Florida where I had my medical marijuana card, and now I'm not able to get any legal cannabis, which has been a struggle for me. So that's very exciting to see that Georgia is opening their medical market here. Serial asks, how hard is it to get your medical card in Florida? It's really not that hard as long as you have one of the conditions that's listed, which there's a wide range of conditions. Then you just go to the doctor. They have like, marijuana, literally marijuana doctor is one of them. That's the one I went to, and it's super easy. It does cost, between the card and the appointment, it definitely costs, a few $100s, but it's not too hard. But anyways, back to the news. We got Arizona cannabis industry is booming. So the cannabis industry, the recreational cannabis industry in Arizona, rounds up their first year. So it says cannabis industry jobs report found in the first year in adult use sales added 2,600 jobs and 31% boost in sales over 2020. So 1.35 billion in revenue last year. Um, but yeah, we've covered some Arizona cannabis over on Respect My Region. So if you're interested in learning more about that market, head over to our website. So that's all I have for cannabis news. So I'm gonna hop into some music news. Um, First up, not news, but I'm gonna put you on some underrated female rappers. So this list is curated by me, but we had one of our other writers, Allie, write it. Head over to our website if you want to read more about these artists and check out some of their music. But I'm just gonna go through the list. So first up, we got Ken the Man. She is a rapper, singer, and songwriter from Houston, Texas. She Her first ever song was a freestyle over Nicki Minaj's Chirac beat, and that kind of exploded her career. And now she has 10 million streams across her Spotify. Next up, we got Chica, who I'm a pretty big fan of. She's from Montgomery, Alabama. We featured her in our Alabama rapper list last year. She's just been exploding over the past couple years, especially during the pandemic. And she's been nominated for Grammys and all that good stuff. Next up, we got Dee Trinata, who's from Baltimore, Maryland. We also featured her on I believe our DMV rappers list. She just has a lot of attitude and she's super outgoing in her music. So if you're into kind of that, like, you know, outgoing um, female hip hop, then check her out. Next up, we got Samira Truth. So she's more of a lyricist. She's from Chicago, Illinois. So while when a lot of the times when you think of female rappers, you think of kind of, um, just a lot of energy, maybe, like people like Doja Cat and Bia, just a lot of sass and a lot of energy. But there's also a lot of female rappers that are more on like the lyrical side, like similar to like an MF Doom, and stuff like that. So, you wouldn't typically think of that, but they're here. So Samira Truth is one of them. Definitely check her out. She's from Chicago, Illinois. Next up, we got Javia Mighty. She's a Canadian rapper from Toronto, Canada. Next up, we got Charmaine, who's a rapper, singer, and songwriter from Zimbabwe, but raised in Canada, and also grew up in Nashville, Tennessee. Um, and she has garnered a couple million streams on Spotify. Next up, we got Lex Leosis, who is also kind of has that more lyricist storytelling flow. But she's super dope. Definitely one of my favorites on this list. Next up, we got Nappy Nina. She was raised in Oakland, but then moved to Brooklyn, New York. She has a soulful, funky, and jazz-like vibe to her music. And then we have Audrey Nuno, which is also one of my other favorites on this list. She's a singer, rapper, and songwriter. So in her music, she switches up between rap and singing. And she's had features with like Jack Harlow. Can't think of any off the top of my head, but she had a pretty big song with Jack Harlow. Yeah, this is and then next up we have Cartel Madras. So Cartel Madras is a Canadian hip hop duo, and it's two sisters. They were born in India, but then immigrated to Calgary, Alberta, and they're definitely one of the bigger artists on this list. But they've got a lot of attitude, and I really enjoyed their energy. So that's 10 underrated female rappers. Rap is definitely prominently men, but female rappers are kind of taking over, so don't sleep on them. Next up, we have Okeechobee Music Festival. So I just wanted to give a little rundown on this just in case we have anyone watching that's heading down to Florida because the RMR team is heading down there. Me and our assistant editor, Maddie, and one of our writers, Anna, are all heading down to Okeechobee this coming weekend for a 4-day music festival. And Okeechobee it's a newer festival. It's only been around for 5 years now, but it's definitely become one of the more popular festivals in the country, and especially in the Southeast and in Florida. But yeah, I just want to give a rundown on like some must-see artists and the stages, and just some other information. So they have the B stage, they got the here stage, the now stage. So it's be here now. And then they have Aquachobe, which is along a lake, which people swim in. I wouldn't swim in, but people swim in it. Then there's Jungle 51, which is in this kind of jungly area. There's lots of lasers. And these stages are actually kind of separated. So there's like two different security entrances, which is kind of weird. So make sure to plan extra time for that. There's also the Incendia stage, which travels, and a lot of surprise sets happen there. We caught that one at Swanee Halloween. Also, we have the Powwow stage, and that's all for stages. And then there's also camping, and in the camping, there's tons of different activities. There's yoga. There's let's see. So there's literally an area in the campgrounds called Yoga Chobe, and that's a huge thing, a part of this festival, and a lot of people participate in that. There's also a healing sanctuary, which conducts morning meditations, Thai yoga, massages, neuromuscular and connective tissue therapy, biodynamic cranial touch, sound healing, shamanic workshops, and more. So if you're heading down to Okeechobee, there's so much more to do apart from just the music. So make sure to check out all that other stuff. And then I just wanted to go over some artists that I'm looking forward to. So even if you're not going, you can check out these artists. We got 2 Feet, Smino, Notlow, Vale, Honey Love. It's calling me. Gotta decline. And yeah, so I'm gonna go on to the next thing. So lastly, we got some tour announcements from some big DJs. So Alice in Wonderland Alice in Wonderland announces her 2022 headlining tour ahead of her new album. So let's see some of the dates. It's gonna kick off in March, and it's gonna hit major cities like Miami, Chicago, Boston, and Brooklyn, and then she'll tie the bow on it in June in Berkeley, California. And no news on who will be opening yet, I don't think. Yeah. Also, we have Wax Motive, who is in, I wouldn't I wouldn't really say underground or emerging. He kind of emerged over the past couple years, but he's gotten pretty big now. But Wax Motive, who's pretty big house DJ currently, he unveiled his House of Wax debut album and his 2022 North American tour plans. So let's see, he's hitting festivals like Ultra Music Festival, Veld Music Festival in Toronto, and more. And if you'd like to read more up on the album, head over to our website for a brief little review and some information about the tour. Um, but that is all from me. I'm gonna pass it back over to Joey.
Yo, what's good, everybody? All right, thank you for Hannah for all of the great double tap. Super interesting to hear about, again, the Khalifa Kush Trulieve announcements, and then also Wax Motive. I've been a fan of him for I think 6-7 years now, dating back to when I first got into electronic music in 2011 and 12. He's been doing some great work, so super excited to catch him hopefully in LA here soon. Now, without further ado, I've got some content to talk about. So let me go ahead and you on out of here. All right, there we go. All right, everybody. So starting this week, I'm going on some trips, some traveling, some cannabis things. And so Friday, heading to Texas. Saturday and Sunday, there is the Texas Cannabis Policy Conference. So I'll be out there in College Station, helping to advocate and push through some good things there with the wonderful people putting that event on. After that, the following week, I'll be heading to Spain for Spannabis. This is the 18th annual Spannabis Expo in Barcelona. 2 years they haven't had a physical event, so now they're coming back. They got a good one. The Fira de Cornella announces their comeback event. Spannabis is a 3-day conference and cannabis event that combines award shows, conference-style setups, and live music, creating a weekend full of high-level conversations about marijuana, hemp, top brands, trending stuff, technology, and more. So definitely exciting to link up with people who travel from all across the world for that. So let's see, what do we got up next? March 11th through 13th is the expo, so a very exciting time. Cannabis vendors, live performances, Champions Cup. Let's see, performances from Barbay Sound, Sharon Shank, Purple Rockets, Palabu, Women Soldiers, Full Spectrum Selectors, 420 Backyard Suka, and Carlix EDJ Rambula. Rambla. So that's going to be dope. A lot of exciting stuff. And then Spannabis Champions Cup March 11th. Cannabis Magazine is a prominent cannabis like tastemaker publication. So they have organized the Cannabis Cup or the Champions Cup. The judgment focuses on lab results to determine the percentage of cannabinoids in harvested material. Seed companies, grow shops, and cannabis associations also register to participate and compete for awards. Titles include best breeders, growers, and extractors. Man, I'm super excited. 11th, 12th. It's going to be dope. It's going to be dope. All right, up next, we've got the Maryland House approves recreational marijuana legislation. And then we also have 2 cannabis bills in California that will help hopefully eliminate cannabis cultivation tax or lower them, and then maybe potentially raise retail tax. So the Maryland House approves recreational marijuana legislation. House votes 96-34 for a constitutional amendment, sending it to the Senate. Let's go. The House also voted 92-37 for a separate bill that includes initial steps that would be taken if voters approve. However, issues relating to licensing and taxation would be taken up by lawmakers next year. What do we got? We stand here today as a body to begin the process to take these first steps to legalize cannabis, to looking next year to see how the regulatory part would work, how the taxation part would work, but taking the important first steps now in the areas of public safety and public health to make sure that we do this and that we do it right and we do it through a lens of equity, said Clippinger, who is chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. So big shout out to Maryland. Recreational cannabis coming soon, but not too soon. We still got some time. So get your brands together, get your packaging together, get your creativity together. All right. California bill would eliminate cannabis cultivation tax and raise retail tax. This is coming out of ganjapreneur.com. A California proposal is seeking to suspend the state's cannabis cultivation tax and increase its retail excise tax to cover the resulting dip in state revenues. A proposed bill in California would suspend the cannabis cultivation tax while increasing the retail excise tax in order to maintain neutrality with state revenues. The measure, co-sponsored by Democrat Assemblymember Bill Quirk and Republican Assemblymember Tom Lackey, comes following an increase in the state's cultivation tax, which took effect January 1. Quote, previous efforts to initiate tax relief for the legal cannabis industry have, unfortunately, failed passage in the legislature. The reality is that a viable approach will have to account for its impact on state revenue. This proposal to consolidate taxes on cannabis is crucial to fulfilling fiscal responsibilities of the state while successfully phasing out the cultivation tax, which is applied whether or not the product is actually sold, Quirk said in the press release. The cultivation tax is imposed at the beginning of the supply chain is included in the wholesale cost of goods as it passes through manufacturers and distributors. The tax compounds as other state and local taxes apply, which enlarges the original tax burden by as much as 50% by the time it reaches end consumers, Quirk's office said. The state and local taxes imposed on cannabis is one of the many factors that make legal cannabis more expensive than cannabis from the illicit market. Let's get some reduced cultivation taxes. Come on, help these brands have a chance. And then we have a second article coming out of hightimes.com. This California bill would protect cannabis users from employment discrimination. So a new bill in California hopes to end discrimination against those who use cannabis outside of the workplace. California employees would be barred from discriminating against employees for cannabis use while off the job under legislation introduced last week. The measure, AB 2188, was introduced in the California Assembly by Democratic Assemblymember Bill Quirk on February 15th. If passed, AB 2188 would end discrimination based on drug testing for cannabis metabolites, which are non-psychoactive substances that can be detected in a person's bodily fluids for up to several weeks after they have consumed cannabis. Quote, the bill would make it unlawful for employers in California to penalize or discriminate against a person when making decisions about hiring, termination, or other aspect of employment if the discrimination is based on the person's off-duty cannabis use or the presence of non-psychocannabis metabolites revealed in an employer-mandated drug screening. All right, there we go. So hopefully they get that figured out. It's legal in the state. Why is it illegal, or why can we be discriminated against when it comes to jobs? I just don't understand it. All right, so next article coming out of CNN. What inflation? Cannabis actually costs less these days. So that's pretty interesting, right? Considering there's literally $90 eights. And then let me get these other articles loaded up as well. Okay, there we go. So again, coming out of CNN Business, inflation, right? We're all seeing increased prices on a number of just daily life essentials across the board. But cannabis actually costs less these days in the wholesale market. So it's really interesting. The grocery run, the fuel up, and the utility bill are all costing more these days, not to mention the surging home prices and rising rent. But a trip to the neighborhood dispensary might not elicit similar feelings of sticker shock. While Americans have seen prices climb across most of their regular expenses, the cost of cannabis doesn't appear to be increasing at a similar clip. And in some instances, a bag of edibles or an eighth of an ounce of flour might even be cheaper today than this time last year. All right, here we go. Prices of flour, edibles, and vape products, when averaged by the price per milligram of THC, declined by 16.7%, 11.8%, and 12.4%, respectively, from January 21 to January 2022. Wow. According to cannabis analytics from Headset, which ranks sales in California, Colorado, Michigan, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington. This would indicate that inflation has not yet affected the prices consumers are paying for recreational cannabis in the United States. Cooper Ashley, Headset senior data analyst, told CNN Business. Inflation is obvious when all else is equal, said Andrew Livingston. While any cost savings are welcome news to consumers who are feeling price pressures, elsewhere the product trends don't tell the full story. Price declines may not mean cannabis is immune to inflationary effects. They're just another example of the complex business dynamics playing out in this burgeoning industry. So, for those of you that don't know, the entire, just cannabis, the price of it has entirely just fallen out. The floor, there's a whole new definition to low pricing going on out there. We're seeing pounds, discounted 600 to 800 compared to what they normally were. We're seeing lows discounted $200 to $800 compared to what they normally were. So it's a really interesting time out there right now in terms of the cannabis industry. But it is exciting for the customer because that means it is a buyer's market. All right. Up next, we've got 5 valuable NFT conventions that are going on in LA. We just had the Supermint convention in LA. That was super dope. It was hosted at the Hubble Studio in downtown LA. A lot of great people there. They let us smoke weed outside, so it was exciting. All right, March 25th, the NFT in America conference, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. VIP ticket holders have access to parties on the 24th and 25th. Art and collectibles is a solid theme. The promoters said that the event will allow attendees to peek into an exploration of creation, curation, trades, and trends. You can attend via GA, live stream from home, VIP, super VIP. And this will be located at the Montalban Theater rooftop. Super dope. Super dope. All right. And then March 28th through the 31st, we have NFT LA conference. Okay. For that, brought to you by Edge of Company, media events and tech company known for its tech podcast. Edge of NFT conference will spread out to multiple locations, including the LA Live Convention Center, Wisdom LA, and the Super Chief Gallery LA. 4-day immersive conference, have after dark experiences, presentations, panels, creators, policymakers, etc. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. Baron Davis is speaking, Mark Cuban, Steve Aoki, Fallon Fatemi. Wow. Okay, so this is a banger one. And then we have the Alternative Investing Forum, May 18th through the 19th. Blockchain, cannabis, cryptocurrency, esports, gaming, NFTs, psychedelics, real estate, sports industries, more. You can still apply to be a speaker, it looks like. And then we also have the NFT Expoverse, July 29th through the 31st. A 3-day event showcasing blockchain technology and how it will affect society, cryptocurrency, NFTs, how you can utilize them. If you're an entrepreneur, artist, collector, gamer, digital enthusiast, this is an event for you. NFT drops by game developers, artists, auction houses, fashion brands, musicians, sports teams, and all kinds of stuff to do with the various digital metaverses. So this is dope. Yeah, NFTs all over the place. All right. And then we've got like a tweet here about a potential XXL freshman list. So I'm just going to read through the names. So Fago, Nardo Wick, Kenkin, One Dada Forever, SSG Kobe, Autumn, Twin Uzis, Baby Santana, Yeet, Ken Carson, Young Chris, and Soja Brat. I have only heard of Nardo Wick and Yeet and SSG Kobe. So that is interesting that these names are being considered, rumored via Twitter. And then my last piece of content for you guys today, big shout out to you guys for hanging out. The last piece of content that we have for y'all today is coming out of EDM.com. COVID. Coachella drops all COVID related restrictions and vaccination requirements. So COVID rumored to come to an end. So Coachella decides to drop all COVID-related restrictions and vaccination requirements, and also for Stagecoach. So let's give this a quick run through. Organizers of the legendary Indio Music and Arts Festivals has revealed that the removal of all COVID-related restrictions, including no vax or testing requirements. The update arrives 4 months after the festival's producer Golden Votes relaxed its vax requirements, allowing entry with proof of the jab or a negative test within 72 hours. All right. In accordance with local guidelines, there will be no vaccination, testing, or masking requirements at Coachella 2022. Read the festival's website. There we go. Same goes for Stagecoach. All right. Coachella annually attracts roughly 250,000 festival goers across both weekends. Holy cow. Huge lineup includes Swedish House Mafia, Black Coffee, Madeon, Flume, Disclosure, Duke Dumont, Harry Styles, Billie Eilish, and Ye, formerly known as Kanye West. Stagecoach is scheduled for April 29th to May 1st, with feature headlining sets from Carrie Underwood, Thomas Rhett, and Luke Combs. It's about to be dope. All right, you guys. That was all the good news from the day, from the last week, from the weekend. Big shout out to you, Hannah, for curating once again a great lineup of topics. If anybody has any questions, be sure to drop them in the comments. Send us an email, info@respectmyregion.com. You guys can always talk shit to us on all social medias. We encourage the banter back and forth. And as always, like, follow, and subscribe. Please share the video if you're a fan. Hannah, do you got anything for the people?
Nope, just go about your day and listen to some good music and smoke some good weed.
Good weed, good music. Have a great day, and try not to use your motherfucking AK. All right, y'all. Love you guys.